We went there on Good Friday, believing that Kati would have a stigmata on Good Friday. There were a lot of reasons for it. We weren't told that, but there were a lot of reasons for us to presume it. She'd been having stigmata on Fridays, and Good Friday is the day of Christ's crucifixion. We expected it. We expected it too much. And it didn't happen. But Katia said she had a message from Jesus that afternoon and said, don't be disappointed, have faith. Come back the day after the feast of my Corpus Christi, that is the feast of his body and blood. That was 2 months away. And we did. The Fox network that we were dealing with said, can you really believe that? We're starting to have doubts. And I said, well, everything we've been told so far, when Katia has said she has a message from Jesus, has come true, and I'll certainly be flying all the way from Sydney to Kočabambos to be there on that day. And we did. And at 12 o'clock, as predicted, on that day, the stigmata started. But the very fact that she predicted the date 2 months away and the time, and it happened, lends a lot of credibility to what we saw and what we now believe.
Cuidado que cuando esté sangrando se les ocurra hacer eso que están haciendo, ¿no?
I'm sorry, Katia.
From the wound you have to take.
Decía, danos hoy nuestro pan de cada día. Perdona nuestras ofensas.
I just noticed the thorn marks are getting more distinct now.
Mis pies me duele mucho. Her feet hurt a lot. Padre.
Having been there, I don't believe it was self-inflicted or put there by somebody else. It started on the back of her left hand in the form of a cross. Now that in itself was astounding to me because I couldn't determine whether that cross was put there by a drawing, by a pen, by ink, or by a cut. It didn't seem natural. I don't know how you can cut a perfect cross in skin without causing bleeding. It was a perfect little cross, which, as you saw, we filmed. That then became a wound, an open wound. A matching wound, and I stress a matching wound, appeared on the other hand. Matching wounds appeared on the top of her feet and on the bottom of her feet. I know those wounds were true and real because I put swabs into them. I actually interfered with those wounds. I took blood from them. As I say, they were matching. We were there all the time. The first wounds were what we believe to be from the crown of thorns. And I literally saw them appear. There was a spot of blood, and then a second spot of blood, and a third spot of blood. She's lying there. She didn't touch herself. It is not possible that she did that to herself. And if somehow, beyond all our belief or all our credulity, she did that to herself, when we went back the next morning, the forehead was clean, no wounds. The hands were clean, no wounds, but now 2 crosses. You would not describe them as wounds. 2 crosses on the back of the left hand. On the top of the feet, you could see the marks, but when you felt them, they're completely smooth to the touch. Now, I don't believe any microsurgeon in the world could heal those wounds so smoothly in less than 24 hours. The back of this hand, this is just after 24 hours later from the start of the day, nothing that you can see. This hand, 2 crosses On the palms, nothing.
What do you say when you see something like that, mate?
Just the same.
Well, it's medically that's impossible. From what we saw yesterday, it is quite impossible for those wounds to heal like that. And if you look at the feet also, Ron, you'll see where I was taking blood yesterday. And also you notice, if you look closely, that the wounds have healed in a most unusual manner. They draw in. It's almost like something internally draws it all together from the inside.
And something happened yesterday, what would you say?
God was present. It was amazing. Miracle.
Do you doubt?
I did not have.
In a process of recuperation that he couldn't explain.
It was after getting a sign like he wanted, the dramatic appearance and disappearance of Cartier's stigmata, that Dr. Castanon began to study closely Cartier's numerous messages.
This lady didn't finish high school. And she has written in less than 3 years 8 books, big like these books. In 2 weeks, she has written by hand 900 pages. The content talks about theology, sociology, human life, divine spirituality. When you see that this lady has not the culture, she never had written anything, and she comes with books 200, 300, 400 pages, and there is no a theological mistake. She says, Jesus will dictate me, and she gets a tachycardia. It means that the heart begins to beat very fast. And she said always, when Jesus will tell me something, I have this feeling. And I have touched her heart in this moment, and really she has a tachycardia. And she begins to write. I see that the person does not stop. She writes continuously all the time. She has not a moment to stop and think about. If you write a letter to your friend, you take your time and sometimes you stop, and she doesn't know. She writes continuously all the time. I would say that altogether she could print 4,000 or 5,000 pages, intelligent pages, poetic pages, theology, philosophy, sociology, politics, critic, theology, spirituality, Mariology. So little girl, so ignorant in many themes, so many words she doesn't know, she doesn't understand. And the Spanish she uses is very elegant. I have read till now more than 25,000 messages from all over the world, but no one has this beauty that I see in these books.
I have met Katia, have spoken to her, have asked certain questions not to test her, but rather to be able to gauge the scope of her experience as a mystic. And I have been deeply, deeply impressed by her, both in her human aspect as well as in what God is doing in her. We believe that it is the Lord Himself who is speaking to her. It would be difficult for someone that does not have theological training to be able to memorize or to express these theological truths with the simplicity and the directness which are evident in the writings.